starts to go a less green, more of a yellowy orangey color, that means your battery's getting low.
Okay.
This looks fairly.
Yours not working again? Yeah.
Isn't my light supposed to come on?
Yes?
That's what I'm looking for.
There, it came on right there.
Oh,
It's behind a cable. I can see it. Everybody's on right now. And number 1 does not work.
Is this one? I just turned it on and there's nothing.
Yeah, you're number 2.
Is it full shining?
There's a cable right
There's
there.
a cable in front, I can't see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you're
on.
on.
Okay. One minute. Can you hear me out there?
Test, test.
Microphone test 1, 2. What is this? Oh, it's 7:30. Call the meeting to order. I want to recognize that we are on the unceded traditional territory of the Upper Similkameen Indian Band. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Councillor McLean, seconder. Councillor Gould. Any additions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Adoption of the September 7th regular meeting of council minutes.
So
Motion.
moved.
Councillor Elliott,
Second
second.
that, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Willis. Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. September 10th, 2021 special meeting of council. Motion to adopt the minutes.
so moved.
Councillor McLean, seconder. Councillor Willis. Errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Down to staff reports. 2021 Town of Princeton tax sale. James.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So once again, as per the community charter, the last Monday in September is our annual tax sale. Currently, we have 6 properties on the with delinquent taxes, which will be sold on the 27th of September, 10 o'clock, according to the Local Government Act. Typically, staff asks for council's approval in having our CAO bid up to 50% of the municipal value. Should it seem deemed in the town's best interest to do so.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Councillor McLean?
Would there be any in good parking areas?
Maybe.
The properties are available on our website. There are 2 residential properties which would have standard residential available parking, and I believe we have 3 downtown which have ample parking available. So.
Perfect. Any other questions? Okay, we have a staff recommendation that council authorize CAO Thomas or his designate to bid for the town of Princeton at the 2021 tax sale in accordance to section 648 of the Local Government Act, and that up to 50% of the current general municipal assessed value of each individual property may be bid.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Gould, seconder. Councillor McLean. Any questions on the motion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 6.2, Halloween Family Fun Night. Ed's not here, so I'm going to pass it over to CAO.
Yes, so this is a similar event to last year. They're proposing to do it from the airport site again this year. It is a conditional granting of the site, and that is on compliance with the Kamloops Fire Center's safety rating to make sure that it's safe to commence. But usually by then there's usually no issues with that. There'll be the usual COVID, or I hate to say usual, but there'll be COVID safety plans in place, And of course, as we've seen last year, this is a huge morale booster to the community, and actually the site of the airport is actually pretty good because the entire community gets to view it from their backyards, whatever. So it's a good event.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, we have staff recommended motion. Anybody want to make it?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Gould, seconder.
Second that, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Willis. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Hold on to the mic, CAO. 6.3 is Union of BC Municipalities Community Resilience Investment Grant Program. Do you wanna-
Yeah, so the UBCM and the province are very much in support of fire-safe initiatives. As you'll see in Ed's report, we have received 2 grants already previously. Those grants were for planning and education. Due to COVID and a busy fire season, we aren't as far along on those as we had hoped, but there's a two-year life expectancy on those grants. But there is a new opportunity, and so this one is for more of the boots-on-the-ground mitigation type projects. So if Ed was here, he could speak to that more, but really it's an open-ended grant at this point. We're not exactly sure how much is available or how much we would be applying for, but we're going to try and max it out. It's 100% funding, no cost to the municipality.
Anybody got questions? Councillor McLean?
I may have missed it, but have we had fire safe or whatever government people come in and assess us from a community perspective?
We have had assessments done in the past, and this last year we actually hired a fire smart coordinator, and he was busy out in the community, not only educating, but also part of it is planning. So he was assessing the area as well, but unfortunately with the fire season, he actually was pulled away from us and was active in a fire. So,
So they determined areas, for
Yeah.
instance, they used to say above the town shop,
yes.
that hillside, places like that.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so then this new funding would be to actually do some mitigation in those areas.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay.
I would so move.
Okay. Councillor McLean moved it. Seconder?
I'll second.
Councillor Gould. Any further questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Carrie, you're up. The Voyent Alert app. This is exciting. Well, it's exciting.
I'm excited. So this app, I would like council to consider subscribing to is an app that we can use for our entire community to give notices for alerts. We can give notices for boil water advisories, sprinkling regulations, public hearings, road closures, bridge closures, recreation events. It is very user-friendly. If we had a water main go on a street, we can notify instead of the whole community, just that street that's affected and the hours that they would be affected. And if we had to extend it or end it early, we can give them notice through the app. The community would have to sign up for the app. It does send notifications through text. It also does text to landline, so if people do not have computers or cell phones, they would get the notification on their telephone. It does email them, and it does send it out to social media as well. It is an awesome app. You can give notifications on mapping with buffers. So say you had something happen somewhere in the community, say the Brown Bridge, and it gave a notification within a certain area to, they had to evacuate the area for whatever reason. You could do an evacuation within a certain area, alert in a certain area, and just notification to as you make the buffer bigger. A lot of communities are starting to use these apps. I know my daughter was on alert and then evacuated in Falkland, and she had the app on her phone, and that's how she got her information. You can do the notice, you can give backup information, where to go for your centers. It's just a really cool tool.
regional district is just in the process of switching over to. We were using Civic Ready. Civic Ready is no longer servicing Canada. So this is the one that almost, I think all the local regional districts are going to. Local municipalities are all looking at it as the option as well. So it'll be in line as well with everybody else around us. So I think there's a push, there's an ability to sign up when you sign up for this for regional district stuff as well. So if
Yeah.
you live in like right along the edge, you could sign up for Area H stuff as well. So it would,
Yeah,
it would allow.
exactly. Like I have a cabin in Area H and I have my home here. You can ping both your residents. And if something happened in that area, you can get notification or at your home. Or if you had children at a school and you want to know if anything was happening in that area, you could pin that as a second address or a third address for you. And anything that happens in those areas, you would get a notification about.
Any questions?
Councillor
Councillor Elliott.
Elliott.
I was going to say Director Elliott.
I don't know if that's a raise or a demotion.
Oh.
I love the program, there's no doubt about it, and I was always, what kind of sells me on it is the text to landline, because I always think about people who don't have smartphones, don't have computers, don't have social media, don't have those things, and they still need to be kept up to date on what's going on. So I like that. I like the geofencing
Yeah.
idea of it. But I need clarification. If I don't sign up for this stuff, I don't get it, correct?
Correct.
Correct, but if you do sign up for it and you decide you don't want recreation, you don't want infrastructure notices, public hearing, you can sign off for those.
Sure.
The only thing you can't sign off is emergencies.
Okay.
So you would still be alerted for those. So you can pick and choose what you want notifications for, except for emergency situations.
Sure. So is there an incentive of some kind to get people to sign up?
They will be providing us with a bunch of marketing material.
Okay.
And so we'll be able to do newsletters, put it in the paper, put it on social media, and and hopefully get the community signed up to it.
Okay. Now, like I say, I just keep thinking of people that don't have those capabilities, how they would be interested in doing this. So if there is an incentive program, then that's great.
Yep.
Perfect. That's all I have.
Councillor Gould?
That I don't think so. I think they're separate. I think our Town of Princeton app is more of economic development and tourism.
Yeah, it's a good separation because people from the coast or different areas don't care when our roads are down, and you send a notification for that, we'll see our subscribers just start dumping the app.
Oh,
Well, we could do a push road.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll push this out as everywhere we can, because the goal would be to get just about everybody in town, if not everybody in town on it, especially for those things like, your water line breaks in your neighborhood. We can just say, you're out of water, or sewer line or whatever, or snow removal, for instance, like,
Yeah.
we're coming down your street tomorrow morning, can you please have your car out of the way so we can plow it? Stuff like that, right? So
and you can set it up to give notices 2 years in advance with a date and a time of when to give notices, like for garbage pickup, for example, and you've got a stat holiday. It can send out that kind of notice. We're going to
fire
close the
restriction comes
bridge
on
next
Saturday.
week, next Tuesday. We can send the notice now and then have it send out a second notice that morning, early in the morning, so when you get up in the morning, you go, oh, okay, the bridge is going to be closed. I'm not going to drive that way. And you can reroute yourself.
Councillor McLean?
It seems like a ridiculously small amount for all that work for $2,200 a year.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's an awesome deal.
It is.
Kidding.
excellent deal, yeah.
We were looking at it with the regional district, because they were buying a license, and it was gonna be better for us to buy our own license. We'd have more access to it, and when you look at the amount of access we're gonna have buying it ourselves, it's actually cheaper this way than buying it through another licensee holder.
Plus, they use our logo on all our marketing
Yep.
and set it up for us, so. And a lot of the stuff that are notices, they're already pre-set up for you. They have templates for you. So you can just adjust it to fit the situation. I know right now if we have a road closure or something happens, we're on the GIS, we're making a map, we're putting it into something, then we're turning it into a JPEG and then trying to post it on our social media. This is so quick, you just push it, tell it what it is, and it sends it out. It's fabulous.
I would so move.
Thank you. Councillor McLean, seconder.
I'll second.
Councillor Willis, any further discussion? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Gotta put my glasses back on. RFP for Postage Service, James.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, in August, we posted for a replacement for the town's postage meter. The current lease is expired currently. It's at the end of August, so the incumbent, Pitney Bowes, has asked us to return it, so we didn't want to be without a postage meter. We do quite a high volume of postage for property taxes, utilities, community mailers, et cetera, et cetera. So we issued an RFP in August. The RFP came back with one proponent, which the incumbent, Pitney Bowes. The machine that they quoted us is more expensive than the previous machine. However, the current machine has a multiple loader capability. So right now, town administrative staff have to load each envelope piece by piece into the machine, which at tax time can be up to 2,000 pieces of mail by hand. This machine actually will support just stacking them in the machine and feed them through automatically. So it will be a considerable savings in staff time in both tax season, utility bill season, and any of the other busy seasons. So we project that that the postage meter will actually end up relatively similar to the old one in the end. So I'm asking for council to approve the contract and have the mayor and the CEO sign off on it.
Any questions?
So moved, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Councillor Elliott. Councillor Gould, seconded. Any?
Seems like a good deal, but not as good as that last one.
It's almost.
$1,700 a year. Get some stamps.
All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay. 6.6, Community Bike Skills Park. That's the bike park up by the arena.
Yeah, that's what they call it on
Okay.
the contract, so
Carry.
I carried it over. So our contract for our license of occupation has expired. It expired a bit ago, and so I'm asking council to renew the license of occupation for the bike park beside the arena. This is for a 10-year term, and the cost to us is $500 annually in advance.
Okay. Questions?
Make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Willis is making a motion, seconder. Councillor McLean. Any questions?
Just a comment. I see the bike park being used a fair amount, but nothing like that skateboard park.
I know, it's
There
unreal.
is people from morning, well, not during school,
Kids
but
love it.
other than that, weekends, morning till night, the kids are out on that skateboard park. Amazing.
Yeah. Time to expand it.
It would be a good idea, really. It's, yeah.
All in favor on the motion? Carried, thank you. 6.7, Princeton Recognition for Leadership in Wood Design and Building of 2021 UBCM Convention. Gary, is that here? You don't have a mic. Give him two.
All right. So we submitted this year for this BC Woodworks Award, which recognizes communities that are creative in their use of wood in their designs and products, and we were one of the recipients to win that award. And personally, I think it's great for community spirit, and I think it's a good reflection on council as a whole to be so progressive with this kind of a project that we were able to submit. Timing worked out perfect. The visitor center was finished, minus the pergola, so we were able to get all the pictures in, and I received nothing but really strong compliments from the people that presented the award. And yeah, I think it's something we can be proud of as a community.
I just want to say thank you to you, Gary. You're the one who brought us that concept, and I mean, council embraced it, and I think you deserve credit where credit's due. I mean, this is an amazing project, and I think
Thank
the
you.
the award reflects that.
I do. I think the Gimbal Center looks so much, even better with the side, the side piece on there.
And the picnic tables, people are using them. Every time I drive by, there's people at that picnic table, even if it's in the evening or during the middle of the day. It's being used all the time, whereas before it was too hot to even sit out there.
And that's just, if I can say it, our guys did those picnic tables on the side. So there, I don't know if you had a chance to look at them, but it's kind of a unique design for accessibility. I showed our town crew this design that I had seen where the accessibility is in the middle as opposed to usually you see it on the end. Part of my thought behind that was if you're a child and you're in a wheelchair and you're stuck at the end, no kid ever wants to be the one at the end. They want to be in the middle. So we kind of designed those tables for that purpose. And I mean, we couldn't have bought them better than what our guys made them. Like they're phenomenal. They're oversized. Like I think it's a testament to the talent we have on our town crew. That we've got this kind of ability in house, which I think is pretty amazing.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Anybody else? Motion to receive the information. Councillor Gould, seconder. Councillor Elliott, all in favor? Carried. Thanks again, Gary. Okay, council reports. Let's start with Councillor Elliott tonight, because I haven't picked on you in a while.
Start with me, are you?
Yeah.
Alrighty, not a lot to tell you. I attended all the UBCM conference calls. Friday, September 10th, the special meeting in council. Then Wednesday, I attended the Princeton Healthcare Steering Committee Zoom meeting, and later that day, a Canadian Mental Health Association Zoom meeting, and that's all I've got.
Perfect, thank you. Councillor McLean.
Just that I was in attendance for the phone calls with the MLAs and the Premier.
Do you have an update on what's happening with the posse and billets, any chance?
We're finding alternate housing for them for the moment, but actually, we've been involved with this from the beginning, and I've never been in a state of, and it's well understood. I mean, you have a COVID thing going rampant all over, and as a result of that, from the one perspective, our kids are all double vaccinated, they don't want to be hanging around with people that are a danger, because if they happen to get sick, they won't get very sick, but they'll still have to isolate, and they'll still miss games, and they don't like to miss games. And so I know they're pretty safe, but you have to be able to convince people to take them into their home. It's a period of 4 to 5 months, and except for Christmas, they go home for a couple of weeks at Christmas. But other than that, it's just very difficult this year. As I say, it's a problem we've never had so badly as we have this year. So we're just going to keep on advertising and
how many players need places right now?
Well, probably 8.
8
that I know of, but all of them aren't here yet. So, as I say, we're making alternate arrangements for the time being, but hopeful that people will come out of the woodwork kind of thing and see if they can, put one up for the time of the things. It's not as if we're the only ones. Apparently, every team is having difficulties finding billets for their people. So, but I guess we've always been lucky in Princeton. We always managed to find them. But this year it's quite a bit more difficult. And so we'll just keep struggling and see if we can get out from under this.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Willis.
I also attended the special meeting of council, and the phone call with the Queen.
Thank you. Councillor Gould? I know.
I have to report that I did go for a COVID test just to be sure, and it was negative. But I had discussions with Mr. Mayor about this because I wasn't aware you could actually do COVID tests in Princeton. I went online and got your COVID test, and I got sent to Princeton, and I thought, this is crazy, like, I'm really not well, and I have to drive all the way there.
So I did bring that up in our meetings, and I did ask why people were being sent away. We don't know why, but you can, like you said, you can go to the emergency room here, and there's also COVID testing during the week, certain days of the week at the back of the building, down where the old PEP office used to be. And then we also have a COVID vaccination clinic in the hospital as well. So we do have the facilities here to deal with COVID testing as well as vaccinations, and we also have a private clinic in town that's downtown that does it for industry and if you're traveling. So we do have the facilities in town. I'm still not sure why you got sent out, unfortunately.
Just being somebody that went through it, I just kind of thought I could see where some people maybe would just go, it's just a cold, I don't need to go get tested, and then they don't realize
Yep.
they're carrying it, so, yeah, it's good to know that it is in town, and I think we need to try and encourage everybody to take part, stay safe, follow the old guidelines.
Yep.
But I have been busy as a village parent. And I just want to say that it's awesome. The kids that I have are great, and it is a good rewarding experience. And I attended the exhibition meeting on Friday, and it was nice that we could at least have 15 minutes to have. I'm hoping by the time the games come on that they'll be able to have a little bit more of a regular, let's get back to doing stuff for the community. That's one thing that parents that I talk to are coming from Saskatchewan have heard that this community is big hockey town and that the kids love to play here. So that's good.
Just a comment that the point being that having these kids is an experience that you know, you don't realize until you get them. But the point I wanted to make was that in the selection, I was at one of the exhibition games talking to the coach after the period and saying about a certain player, and he won't be making the team because they're afraid of behavior. He's had a couple of behavior problems. They won't take a chance. The first priority for those kids is that they're responsible, and that sort of thing. And I suppose from their perspective, if a kid is responsible in the other ways of life, he's probably responsible about training and everything else. So it's just another thing where that's one of their first criteria, is that you better be able to get along in life and look after yourself and behave, and that way they don't have to put up with problems during the year, kind of thing. Thank you.
Thank you. And hearing that, if anybody's out there listening, the posse needs billet families, so step up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So I attended the UBCM last week. They were long days. Getting tired of the virtual format of life. It's wearing thin. Let's just put it that way. So we did meet with the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, the Premier, and the Minister of Municipal Affairs at the same time, as well as Attorney General and Minister of Housing, David Eby. I think we had some really good meetings. The Minister of Mental Health meeting, I just kind of said it as it was instead of sticking to our speaking notes, and I think that was probably that and housing were probably two of our best meetings we had this year. They turned into conversations, which is what you want. You don't want to just be doing all the talking. So we had a really, I think, productive meeting with mental health And then we had a follow-up right away from the Ministry of Housing, and with a proposal that we look at options to develop existing properties that BC Housing already owns. So we're going to meet in the near future. I don't think we have a date yet, but we're going to meet with them, staff and myself, and then their seniors, their staff, the regional management, I believe it is, so that we can kind of get some of this stuff working out, and then we'll just leave it staff to staff after that. So,
Could you explain that?
so what we were talking about.
Example?
So one of the things we were talking about was some of the older buildings. The public built housing buildings that we have in the community are from the 70s. The province continues to retrofit them, you know, every couple of years. They sink more and more money into retrofitting them. They were built, you know, on the old government standards, which is, you know, the wind's blowing, you can feel it through the wall, sort of thing. So what I asked was, rather than continue to retrofit old buildings, let's get rid of them and build new buildings that are up to code and will suit the needs of people today. One of the buildings is cinder block with, you know, minimal insulation and baseboard heaters. If you're on fixed income, a baseboard heater is going to kill you in January because your power bill is going to be higher than your income. So, you know, if we can get them to move away from retrofitting old buildings that need to come down, then I think that's a win for us. And then we're also going through an OCP review. We can work on zoning for these areas as well at the same time, so it doesn't cost them anything. We can work it into our planning that these areas will be higher density to allow for lower income families and seniors to be able to live in those places without having to go through all the hoops to try to do it after the fact. If we work it all out together with our planning, then we can probably get it to happen.
So they actually were listening to what you had to say.
They were, yeah. Wasn't the first time I brought it up, though. I did have a meeting with, it was a group meeting with Minister Dix and, EB, I mean, and I brought it up at that point, and he seemed to, his ears perked up at that point. So I think when we brought it up a second time, it caught his interest even more. So I'm excited. I'm hoping that we'll be able to move forward with something sooner than later, and working with community services and our partners, that we'll be able to make something real happen in the next few years instead of 4 or 5 years down the road. So I think that's all I have to report tonight. We'll go to number 8, correspondence receive and file. We have a letter from the Honourable Mitzi Dean, Minister of Children and Family Development. October is the Foster Family Month in British Columbia, and the recommendation is to receive and file. Thank you, Councillor
Second
Willis.
that, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Willis. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 10.1, bylaws and resolutions.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to excuse myself and our conflict or potential conflict, as I am a landowner right next door to it.
Okay, thank you. So I'll wait until you're gone.
Wait, can we me out?
Play the elevator music. Should we close that door? Okay, shipping container zoning text amendment bylaw. I guess Mark's not here, so Carrie.
So one of the things that has come up is in our industrial zones are either heavy industrial, light industrial, a business park, zone 1 or business park zone 2, that we have a section in our zoning bylaw that states that a maximum number of containers shall not exceed 1 for the first 0.4 hectare or 1 acre, and another 1 for each additional 0.4 hectare to a maximum of 10. Well, most of our lots in our business park, that would only allow them to have 1 shipping container on their property. Actually, I figured it out by looking at the listing that we have of all of the ones in our current subdivision, and 17 lots would only be allowed to have 1 shipping container, and 8 lots would be allowed 2, and that would be the maximum. So the recommendation from our contracted planner is to remove that .7 in the zoning bylaw, and any shipping containers that they wish to stack, they would still have to go through our building inspector and get a building permit to be able to do that.
Questions?
So the limit?
No
There is
limit.
no limit?
No.
So they can have as many shipping containers on their property as,
There's still some regulations that are set out in the report that we've done that says that they still have to follow the rules as if it's an accessory building. So they can't put it in the front, it would have to be in the rear, it has to follow the setback guidelines. So they're not just willy-nilly all over the place. There is going to be still some regulations as set out in here.
I think the point is it's an industrial park.
Correct.
You know, we separate it for that reason.
Yeah.
So I just wondered if there, if you used to have a requirement only one, but now you're going absolutely wide open.
They were allowed 1 based on the size, so warehouse would also fall under that as heavy industrial for that, but they're bigger than an acre, so the way it was worded was that they can only have 10 before. So now we're not putting a limit on the number that they can use. As long as they're used as, follow the regulations as setbacks and accessory buildings.
Councillor Willis?
Yeah,
Do other parks have limits, like in other towns?
it's in here. So Penticton, Summerland, Regional District, Okanagan, Smilkameen has no regulations. Some of them have regulations that the maximum is stacked too high, which we are keeping that regulation with a building permit. So we fall within the same as what other communities are doing.
Have we had any requests for
Some of the people that are moving into our industrial park for the first little bit wish to use some shipping containers for storage of equipment and stuff like that. And right now, they're not permitted to do so, so this will allow them to be able to do so.
It's got a list of every community around us of what they allow.
Any other questions?
They are so handy. I mean, maybe they aren't the most attractive, but you put a big enough lock on there, it's almost impossible to break into. So you can just close the door, put a lock on, and it's about as safe as you're going to get today.
We have this issue comes before the regional district on a regular basis because especially, you know, if you're building a new building, you want to have all your tools locked up and safe. If you live at, say, someplace like, I'll just use Apex for example. You live up near Apex and you want to park your toys and you put them in a garage, somebody can break in the garage, but you park them in a sea can and lock it up. Well, you got to get this, you know, you got to get this grinder out and open that thing. So, you know, it makes it a lot safer. They're waterproof, they're mouse proof. It's just, you know, if you're storing things, it makes a lot of sense to build them or use them because they're already pre-engineered.
except they don't look very good to me.
They don't look, some
Yeah,
don't.
That's the problem.
What, I'm sorry?
I said except, since they don't all look that good.
No.
Right? You know,
But it's an industrial park.
There's some, I
There's-
well, like you talk about Apex and, you
Oh,
know,
yeah,
you
yeah.
see something in Tulameen and stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's kind of like, but again, and I agree with you.
Our zoning bylaw for the business park does have regulations as far as outside storage. So these would be considered an accessory building as part of your outside storage. So we would expect them to have them screened with landscape or fencing.
No further questions? Somebody want to make their, okay?
Yeah, I'll move back.
Okay, Councillor, I'll give it to Elliott and I'll second you, okay? Any further questions? All in favor? Carried, thank you.
Good, Councilor. Now's your chance.
You You can listen to it on the video later. Alrighty, so 10.2, permissive tax exemption report. James.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, so we, again, as per schedule that we usually operate on, permissive tax exemption bylaw. So this exempts certain nonprofits, community organizations from property tax on their own property. There are two recommendations to alter the current bylaw. One is for the, I believe, the Little Folks Nursery School. Has purchased the Little Seeds Nursery School across the street.
Lease. They're leasing it.
There is, they can't purchase, the town owns it, they lease it.
Yeah.
Because they are a for-profit business, they no longer qualify under the community charter for a permissive tax exemption, so they need to be stricken from the bylaw to be in compliance with legislation. The other one to be added is the Vermilion Forks Métis Association, as they have leased the chamber building, which the town and the regional district have purchased. So those are the only two additions to the bylaw this year, and we ask council for the first reading.
Questions? Motion? Thank you, Councillor Gould. Seconder? Councillor McLean. Questions on the motion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And that brings us to a motion to close. Recommendation that the meeting be closed to the public for the purpose of considering the following: labor relations or other employee relations and the security of property of the municipality. Councillor McLean, seconder. Councillor Gould, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. And that means good night, everybody.